Florida is where this took place. Of course, it's Florida. All the crazy crap that happens is in Florida. Hey everyone, welcome back. And it's Friday, so you know what that means. I have another edition of seller news for you guys to bring you the latest, sometimes not so great news, sometimes great news in regard to selling on Etsy and other relevant platforms, other relevant seller news that's out there so that you guys know what's going on in the e-commerce marketplace. Because a lot of you guys don't sell in just one place, so I want to bring you any relevant news or crazy things that are happening or whatever the case may be with those platforms as well, so you know what's going on. And you can either you can use it to help your business as well. And I am, of course, your host, LL, through your Etsy and Handmade and e-commerce journey. Glad to be back with you guys, hanging out today. Hopefully your Friday is going good so far. Hopefully you have some cool plans for this weekend. I don't think I have any plans. I actually have to go to a birthday party, so but it's an adult birthday party. It's not a kid birthday party, so it will be more fun, I think. Not to knock kids' birthday parties, but it's a different kind of fun, right? When you get to go out and celebrate one of your adult friends' birthday parties. The next day, not so much. I'm not a young buck anymore, as you can see by the gray in my beard. So I can't partake in too many adult beverages. Otherwise, I will get absolutely nothing done on Sunday because I will not be feeling so hot. Easier said than done when you're out in the moment having a good time. But we'll see. I'll let you guys know how that pans out. So let's dive right in. And I got some pretty interesting news for you guys today in regard to Etsy and some other platforms. So I'm going to start off with a bang. No pun intended. An Amazon driver just got held up at gunpoint and got I think they stole his wallet, his cell phone, and then they stole some Amazon packages. So if you guys did not get an Amazon package, well, these guys probably got it, especially if you're in Orange County or Orange City, Orange County. Florida is where this took place. Of course, it's Florida. All the crazy crap that happens is in Florida. They caught the guys because they didn't realize that Amazon has cameras inside their vehicles now. So a lot of people, I guess, workers threw a fuss when they installed these because they thought they were going to be spying on them, which I'm sure they are, to make sure that they're working them, or working them. So they caught that. I think there was 2 people, and everything was okay. He was safe. They didn't harm him or anything like that. But it's crazy. You see these Amazon drivers driving around everywhere, and I'm sure they have to go to these not so great places, and there's a lot of valuable stuff on those trucks. So it's actually a wonder that this doesn't happen more often than not. But I guess it's not really a viable option if they're footage and they can catch you so easily. So yeah, I just thought that was pretty crazy. It's not something you hear about all the time. But everything was okay, and it all worked out. But you just you forget about the risks these guys take with delivering stuff, and it's so important, so valuable to kind of what we do as e-commerce sellers, is getting the package there safely and on time and without anybody getting injured or shot or robbed or anything like that. So everything worked out. I just thought that was a pretty crazy story. The next thing I have for you guys is, maybe you've already seen this, but USPS has launched QR codes on their labels. I've been seeing this for a while now, but I wanted to kind of bring it to your attention in case you haven't noticed that on your shipping labels, there's going to be like a little QR box that they can scan in addition to or in replacement to the actual barcode. Because what's happening with packages, especially if you're selling like clothing or stuff that's in mailer bags, it bends, it creases, so it just makes it really hard to scan that stuff. So outside of scanning it, they have to actually punch in the number manually. And also, if they can't scan it, it doesn't update the tracking information. I've had that happen a couple of times where my printer jacked up the actual code, and I took it to the post office and they couldn't scan it, and they had to punch in the number manually, and like, hey, this is not going to update until it's delivered. So that kind of sucks for the buyer. They're not going to get an update and then hopefully it doesn't get lost because you're gonna have no clue where it got lost. So the QR code is supposed to help with that. If they can't scan the barcode, they can scan the QR code. It's it's another way to kind of be able to do that. So I think it's a good thing. It should definitely help alleviate packages that don't get updated tracking, and that you can scan that in addition to the actual barcode as well. So I think that's pretty cool that they're doing something like that. Another thing is, I guess, a controversial topic is Etsy kind of doubled down on their return policy. So last year they made a one size fits all return policy. So you either have the option to offer returns for some or all of your listings, or not offer returns for some or all of your listings. So you can select which listings you want buyers to be able to return stuff. It'll be in the policy for each individual listing. So the buyer goes to your listing, it'll say accepts returns, yes, or doesn't accept returns. And then you can choose which listings you want to apply that to. And then you only have the 14-day policy. So when someone buys something from you, they have 14 days to return the item from when it was delivered. Not when it was shipped, when it was delivered. They have 14 days to send that item back to be eligible for a return. You can't do custom return policies. Another thing that Etsy did was on the old, if you had the old, like an older store, you could customize your policy section. You can write in stuff, do FAQs, customize it. They took that all away. So if you had custom return policies, they took it away. It's not there anymore. You can't customize it to your own anymore. You have the one size fits all policy. Some people like it. Some people don't like it. Etsy's saying they're doing it for buyers. So to basically make it the same for all buyers, so people aren't doing different policies all over the place. And they had one policy with something that you bought here, and then another policy with something that you bought here. So it makes sense that they want to make it more uniform. But on the other hand, not everything is equal. Different products, different things that you're selling are larger. They're easily breakable, more fragile, different sizes. So there may be some scenarios, or a lot of scenarios, where a one size fits all return policy may not be a good thing. So I see that. I see kind of both sides of it, but just know that you have to select either or right now. And you could still work with a seller. A lot of times sellers will reach out to you about returning something, and you can tell them the policy. I personally don't I'm not going to knock somebody if I get something past 14 days. I want to make sure that I'm delivering good customer service. So if I get it 20 days later, I'm still going to give them the return, because they're going to get they're going to get pissed if you get the item a couple of days later and you don't offer the return. They paid to return the shipping back, or the item back, and then you didn't give the money back. So I wouldn't do that. I would be a little bit more flexible, but that there is a set policy in case you want to enforce it. They would have a hard time, even if they submitted a case, getting that overturned, because they have that policy out there. So just keep that in mind. I don't really want people submitting cases. I don't want to go through the hassle. So unless I get something back that's damaged or broken or used, I'll push back on that. But I don't think I've ever had that happen, now that I think about it, where someone sent something back that wasn't under the return policy, that was damaged or used or smelled funny or something like that. So, and every shop's different, every product's different. So just keep that in mind, that is the set policy. It may change in the future, but it's just something that you have to work around and still work with individual buyers if they reach out about returns, and what that policy may be. All right, so moving on, as far as Etsy sellers in the UK, Etsy just announced their partnership with a new mail carrier, a mail provider, whatever you want to call it, in the UK. If you want to use them instead of Royal Mail, because Royal Mail has had some problems with strikes, they got a cyber attack a couple of weeks ago, so they want to give sellers another option outside of Royal Mail in case you don't want to use them. And I think options are good, right? Whether this option is viable or not, I don't know. I'm not in the UK. I'm not going to be using this service, but I want to let all my UK peeps know that it's out there. It's called Evri, EVRI, and they're offering UK sellers a 10% off international parcels if they want to use it to ship international. You can use code Etsy10 at checkout. So I'm assuming you can find, if you just type in every, you can find this platform, use it to buy your shipping. And then I guess the code expires March 1st is what they say. So check it out if it's something that you think is viable. I don't think there's any delays going on right now with Royal Mail. They're saying everything's running normal, but who knows? It's always subject to change with something else crazy that happens. But options are good. In the US, we have other options. You don't always have to ship USPS, although for lighter stuff, it usually is the most viable option. But we have, FedEx, we have UPS, especially for bigger items. So options are a good thing. The last bit of news I have for you is really big if you sell on eBay. And I know a lot of you guys sell on both places. So it's always good to kind of add in some sales channels, especially as you grow. It can help you get additional income. So a lot of people sell on Etsy and eBay. So eBay just announced a lot of changes. First and foremost, they are increasing their fees. Surprise, surprise, everything's getting more expensive, but it's just the nature of the beast. Good thing is the maximum final, so they're increasing fees on the final value. So when you sell something, whatever the final cost is that you sold it for, they take a percentage of that. And it varies depending on whatever niche you're in, whatever category you're in that you're selling. So the most they're increasing is 0.35%. That's not much, not very much. It's not 1%. It's not more than 1%. It's 0.35%. And most categories are staying the same. And a lot of categories are increasing by less than that. So really not that much of an increase. And increases are expected, almost annually if you're selling in the e-commerce world. It just happens, especially now. Things are getting more expensive, inflation, yada, yada. So increases happen. It's just part of doing business online, unfortunately. So that's one. Unpaid items, they're working to solve that. One of the biggest problems with selling on eBay is when someone buys something and they don't pay, and then you have to relist that item. You lose any watchers, all that stuff. It's kind of a pain in the butt. It happens more than I'd like, especially when you're selling bigger ticket items. People just don't pay. I don't know why. So they're trying to alleviate that. They're testing now where people have to, before they can do submit a best offer, they have to submit their bank information. So when they do the best offer, it automatically takes the money from their bank account. It's kind of like Whatnot. If you sell on Whatnot, that's the way it is. You buy something, it automatically takes the money right then and there. You don't have to wait for the buyer to come in and then pay for it later on or not pay for it later on. So hopefully they can fix this. I know it's something that has been a problem for a long time, but eBay has been around for a long time. Their system is very archaic, and I'm sure there's layers and layers and layers and layers. So it's harder for them to be able to integrate things fast because of all the all the layers of infrastructure they've built with their website. All right, the last change was with international shipping. They're basically creating a new international shipping program to build off the global shipping program. If you ship internationally through the global shipping, it sends it to a hub in the US, and then the hub sends it onward to wherever it's supposed to go. So they're expanding the protections with that program under the whole international shipping, where you can be protected against claims for lost or not received items, chargebacks, or negative feedback from items that you're shipping internationally. So this is a good thing. A lot of the international, especially if you're shipping expensive stuff, is risky. You don't want it to get lost. You don't want to be penalized. You don't want to be out of pocket for that money if the buyer doesn't get it. So it's good. I think they're working to further expand their international shipping program to protect sellers, and I guess sellers and buyers both. So I think it's a good thing. And there's more to come on that, I'm sure, as far as what those protections entail. But if you go to the eBay website, they released whole news thing article about these recent changes. You can see the specific fee breakdowns and all that good stuff. But those are the main talking points that I wanted to tell you about as far as the eBay changes. So that is it, guys. That is the seller news that is going on right now in those platforms in Etsy. So you guys know what is going on. I will post some articles, links below, so you guys can read up on these a little bit more. do a deeper dive if you want to do that. But those are the highlights of what's going on in the world of Etsy and e-commerce. Hopefully that helps you guys out. I'll be back really soon with another great episode for you guys. Have an amazing rest of your day and weekend.